Welcome to the latest This Week's Acca podcast, sponsored by Sky Bet Acca Freeze. Tom, Joe and Jimmy with you to run through the schedule. Coming up on this episode then, the FA Cup is back, but will it cause us issues in selecting our accumulator? Well, seemingly not. We settle on 3 teams, all to win at around 12-1. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to ensure that you never miss an episode, and remember to keep it fun. Never bet more you can afford. This podcast is 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. I've been off for a few weeks. I'm back now. Hello. What has happened?
Where you been?
In my absence, I went on holiday to Florida in America. It was warm, it was nice, and now it's freezing and not nice here. So a nice comparison.
From riding roller coasters to the roller coaster of emotions that is this podcast.
Very nice link, yeah. He's a mouse, isn't he? I was going to try and make some kind of clown-based joke, but it's Mickey Mouse. Mouse, yeah, it doesn't quite work. What's been happening while I've been away? In terms of the Acca, not general life, I've been keeping up with the news and stuff like that. How did last week get on?
You could have said, gone from seeing Mickey Mouse and now I'm back with you clowns. No?
Yeah, it kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of works. We'll edit it back
Mickey
in.
Mouse to this Mickey Mouse of a podcast.
There you go. That works. That's what I was aiming for. That's what I
Got
wanted.
there in the end.
What happened last week? How did we get on?
Winner, draw, loss. Peterborough let us down against Reading. Burton lost to Stockport, which we tipped. Southend and Forest Green drew, according to the record. And guess what? People are angry about it. They're furious. Lots and lots and lots of angry comments. Zach9982, how are you boys employed as experts? Just busted my Acca again on Peterborough. Utter, woke, useless, shite. And there's
What's woke about last week? I want to know.
Losers, anything.
I want to know what was particularly woke about tipping Peterborough to beat Reading.
Fashionable, isn't it?
I think that's pretty woke, actually, in hindsight. To me, 2805. I watched this and then just lay it on Betfair. Paid for my Christmas.
That's a personal favourite, actually.
You're welcome to me. And pretty sound advice, to be fair, isn't it, with the run we're in. I rat through the last few. Let the tea lady pick them instead. We tried, but she's otherwise engaged at the minute. Give us a winner, lads, for fuck's sake. And then William Murphy just put clueless.
Well, that's sickening for you lads who were on last week and even the week before. Just sickening to see people's views on that. Give us a winner. Well, that's why don't we aim to do that?
Oh my God, we should just do that.
Why don't we just pick like 3, 4, 5 winning teams together and then we're all just having a nice time again?
Woohoo!
There we go. Who wants to kick us off then? Let's go straight into this week. It is FA Cup second round this weekend. So we lose basically all of League One, don't we? There's a couple of games at League Two, but they're at 12:30. Championship, there's been some movement there. So there's still some games at 3 p.m. We've obviously got the Prem, we've got National League, and of course, as I mentioned there, the FA Cup as well. So still plenty of games to go at. Jimmy, you can kick us off. Strongest fantasy, where we go?
Strongest
fashion.
I've got 3 of them, but do you want one off the top or off the bottom? Countdown style.
I want your
price.
Short price. Just straight away. Can go. Yeah, let's do this. I don't care what price it is. I just want to be able to get on board of it straight away.
All right. Well, I'll go with the shortest one then. Bristol City 1-2 at home to Plymouth.
Okay.
I'm wincing a little bit as I say it because 1-2 about Bristol City does seem painfully short in the Championship considering their form. But Jake tried to get it in going against Plymouth away from home in the new Sporting Life Plus feature, Acca. We're going to start doing them.
Talk about that in a bit, but carry on.
Yeah, well, if you thought one losing Acca a week wasn't good enough, we can now bring you 2. But you have to pay for the privilege. Apparently,
you don't have to pay.
No, it's free.
It's free to log
How
in.
come I can't log in and do it?
Well,
You don't know how to use a smartphone, mate, though, do you?
Nah.
You really can't.
Nah, yeah, it's made. I've got an iPad now, but it's useless. I just use it as a. What could I use it?
Use it as a telephone. Keep ringing me on it.
Bristol City, I'm looking here, haven't won in the last 5 home games, but the Burnley, Sheffield United,
Ooh, they're a
and
good side.
Leeds were the last 3 who have visited Ashton Gate.
I
So
don't know about the other two, but Sheffield United are a bloody good side, aren't they?
What a team they are.
Team they are, by the way.
So they're struggling,
Yep.
but then context, they have had some incredibly difficult games, and Plymouth, frankly, with their away form, probably the team you want to face when you need a home win.
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit more about Plymouth's away form.
Please,
Because
God, do.
they're not just bad on the road. They're almost entirely toothless. Like, just mouthful of gums. That's how bad they are. 9 games, 3 goals, 23 conceded. It was that game against Leeds. I don't think they had a single shot. First time since Opta Stats record began that's happened in a championship game. So, yeah, Bristol a bit patchy, but it's Plymouth. Their home form compared to their away form is chalk and cheese. I don't know why they set up so different, but it's outrageous.
It's a short price, but frankly, I think, is it one of those where we just back against Argyle in every away game that they
short
play?
though, innit?
Do you want to put a pin in it?
It's so
I quite like Bristol City as a team, though.
just
Yeah.
so.
I mean, they're
so
obviously
short.
they're in their home of 12th in the league because they can't go any higher than 10th because something's gone wrong. But a semi-decent side who have just had a fairly tough run of fixtures. When you look, they've been to Watford away midweek. Watford a handy side, particularly at home. Burnley, they've played Norwich where they won. Norwich, you don't really know what you're going to get. Sheffield United, as we discussed, they then won away at Preston, drew 0-0 with Leeds, drew away at Stoke, who were doing all right at that point, and then went to Borough and won as well. So they've navigated what is a tricky fixture list quite well, is the point I would add there.
Ironically, even though I suggested it, I'm on the fence on this. I can tell Joe's not happy with the price, but you're warming to it.
I'm warming to it, yeah.
So I suggest maybe putting a pin in it, not forcing it in straight away, but we
Okay.
can always circle back to it.
I think this is going to be a struggle this week. Looking,
I've got 4 that definitely win, so we could just pick
Yeah.
that
Really?
and just get on with it.
you need to go first, then, mate.
I've got 2 in the Prem, actually. I don't usually go to the Prem often. Brentford to beat Leicester 4-6 would be one. Leicester, who are going to appoint Ruud van Nistelrooy, isn't it, by all accounts?
Yikes.
Managerless, which I know we go, I'm not too sure, but Brentford unbeaten at home this season, 6 wins in 90 minutes. Then they beat Sheffield Wednesday on pens in the Carabao Cup. So kind of 7 if you want to include that. But 6 wins in 90 minutes, 2 draws. They're scoring plenty too. Scored at least 3 in each of their last 3 in the Premier League. Again, they're one of those teams that when they're at home, we look at backing them, and maybe not so much when they're away, but particularly at home, as the results have shown, they are probably one of the best attacking sides in the Premier League when they're playing in front of their own supporters, and they come up against a Leicester side who, that form of no win in 5 led to Steve Cooper being sacked. Whether they have a new manager in charge on Saturday or not, I'm not too sure. It's probably a bit short of a turnaround at this point. But it just feels like Leicester again. Let's just get this game out of the way with. Let's get this done. And it's a Brentford side who are flying at home and what is a tough fixture list. And to be fair, even if it wasn't that and there were more league games to go at, it's one that I'd still look towards because we've touched on a game there in Bristol City Plymouth where the price is short. I thought this would be a bit shorter given the home results of Brentford.
Yeah, you said probably the best attacking side in the league. I've got it up now. They are the best attacking side in the Premier
There you
League
go.
in terms of goals scored at home. 16 points. They've only drawn 1. They've won the rest. 4-6. Managerless Leicester. The only sticking point might be the managers. Leicester, easy for me to say. The fact that Leicester ain't got a manager might be the only sticking point, but 4-6 is it generally? Maybe. I think so.
4-6 with multiple bookmakers. Basically, wherever you go, are going to offer you 4-6 on this selection. That for me is a bit generous given the home results. And we'll caveat it: they have played the bad teams at home, like a lot of the teams at the bottom.
No.
But Leicester are another bad team, so it's not as if we can go, they're playing, someone like maybe Villa or even Fulham, who are about upper mid-table. It's another bad team that they're facing in Leicester, and for me, again, it's just a price that jumps out, and it feels like one that a lot of people will include in their accumulators this weekend.
Thinking about it, it doesn't actually make sense that I've tipped a 1-2 home team with the premise being Plymouth are bad away, when in the Championship margins are finer between good teams and bad teams. But in the Premier League, where you've got a really good home team against a slap bang below average away team, that you can get a bigger price. So I'm all for it, actually.
Joe's been silent.
So, Eddie, you're going to hate me today. the all the points I really like. The price, I'm just not sure that I do. It just feels really short, and I've just never ever, if I was being really honest, I just do not like the uncertainty of a managerial change for an opponent. And I would feel like we'd say different at another time. So we would say to avoid that level of uncertainty, and now we're saying that it doesn't matter. Would be my honest take on it. When they've just sacked a manager who'd clearly lost it last Saturday when he's completely slagging off the ref after a game where Leicester's only shot on target was a penalty in injury time, and now they're a week on from that in their first game, and we see it consistently that it's kind of like that freebie element period of matches, whether or not there's a manager been appointed or not. It's just a level of uncertainty where we'll be left kicking ourselves that, oh God, yeah.
We say we've always said that, though, but then, we probably haven't won an Acca since Maresca was the Leicester manager, have we? So is it worth just going against what we'd consider tradition and shaking things up a bit? Because it hasn't exactly been a winning formula for a while.
That's a fair point. Yeah, very fair point.
Is there another game you want to bring up in this bit? Because we've spoke for about 10 minutes-ish, and we haven't seen...
We got nothing to show for it.
To building an Acca. Give us a first pitch then, because we'll then have 3 teams we can at least kind of look upon there as kind of a starting point for this week.
I chatted to Jimmy about it yesterday that I'm probably not a very good person to be having on the podcast this week.
You got nothing?
I look at the slate this week, and there is not a single selection in the 3 p.m. games where I think, I'm really confident that team's going to win.
Fuck's sake.
What?
Yeah, not a single one. There's, because of the way that the FA Cup has completely decimated the lower leagues, I don't look at any of them and say, I really like that. The Middlesbrough one at 12:30 in the Championship, I think, that's solid. And then Hull has sacked the manager last night, where you're like, for God's sake, that's another one that just becomes a little bit more uncertain. But it's 12:30, not 3 o'clock. And then the games at 3 o'clock in the Championship are a bit funny. The one that I do really like in the Championship is West Brom to win at Preston at 6-4. That's probably the only one where I'm like, I like that price. Fine margin team, West Brom, but I think that they're a little bit overpriced to go to a really poor team and win.
Have you not seen a
Probably
game
the only one.
more draw in your entire life?
I know.
Because it feels like, when someone else picks up, I will go and look this up. It feels like West Brom quite literally draw every game.
8 of their last 9.
It's like they aim,
8 of their last 9 they've
they
drawn.
aim for it, don't they? They aim for the draw.
Well, the problem is with West Brom is Madger was scoring loads at the start of the season, but he's stopped scoring, so it looks like they're not really scoring anymore.
West Brom have lost as many games as Sheffield United and Leeds, the current top 2, who are both level on points.
What a team,
and
Sheffield United.
Yeah, they are 8 points behind the pair of them, having lost the same amount.
That's probably because they've drawn so many.
What?
Isn't it?
There you go. But that's it. I just don't think we can have West Brom, surely.
Yeah, and to be honest, why didn't we push harder for the tea lady to be on here? Because Joe's literally said there's nothing at 3 p.m.
Should be more useful than me this week, I'm telling you.
Why can I push back for Brentford then?
I think of the 3 that we've all said, not for the sake of it, but I think Brentford, having listened to you, Duffman, is a great pick. So I'd be happy to set that as the foundation.
Can we do democracy?
Manifest it. It's manifested.
And then we can actually get on and try and build the rest of the Acca. So we're not here discussing selection 1 all day.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, let's do it. Joe's just looking down, not going to acknowledge it.
He's absolutely despondent.
Nothing I can say, is there really? I've got no insight for this week's episode.
Democracy.
It's democracy, we'll take it. Premier League, then first pick of this week's Acca. It comes from West London, I think Brentford are based in. It is Brentford for a home win over Leicester. While we're in the break bit there, Dom, our producer, did come in, if you're watching on YouTube, and fix my collar, which is nice of him.
Are you going to admit that he came in and bollocked us?
And he did do that as well, because the point that has been made as well is that we didn't really make clear that there are 10 league games, which I didn't really realise. There are 10 league games across the Premier League and the EFL because of the FA Cup this weekend that take place at 3 p.m. A lot of them as well, 12:30. There's an FA Cup game at 11:30 in the morning. Who has signed that off? What the hell is so important that they need to play a game at 11:30? So maybe a bit of an explanation as to why there's been
why I'm being such a miserable arsehole.
There's been some excuses, as to why we are maybe struggling. Maybe your level. Maybe struggling to build an Acca for this week. Jimmy, FA Cup, I know you like it.
I love it.
So have you got anything for us to really get involved with?
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I think we're looking at this completely the wrong way. It's going to be tricky to make an Acca with the league teams trying to get short prices on side. But what about if you flipped it? Embrace the FA Cup. Go for some bigger prices.
Second round's good as well, because you are that one win away from actually a glamour, cliche glamour tie.
Big boys come to town.
A lot, obviously, the FA Cup, it's a competition, I should say, a lot of teams take far more seriously than, say, the League Cup. But that extra incentive, as well as, a potential huge tie to come in the third round, just helps that little bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's difference between shit or bust, literally, for some of these clubs. Literally. And with that in mind, Chesterfield 2-1 at Exeter. I like it a lot, and it's because Paul Cook respects the FA Cup.
Just loves it, doesn't he?
Huge respect for respecting the FA Cup cookie. He was actually reappointed at Chelsea boss not long after the 5-1 loss at Stamford Bridge. Do you remember in 2022? I remembered it. I watched it on BBC.
Remember it like it was yesterday.
Did you enjoy it?
It were good. It were all right, yeah. It were all right. But since then, last season they got to the third round, I think. They drew 3-3 with West Brom away. Do you remember that one? Yeah.
Are we going to have this for the old...
Yeah, just remember Chesterfield's old games.
Do you remember Yeah, but anyway, they got knocked out by Championship side West Brom in the replay, but they beat League 2 Northampton, League 2 Wimbledon en route. They were a National League side at the time. Last season, even more impressive, they beat Portsmouth in the first round, who at the time was running away with the league. So they literally beat the best team in front of them in the competition, and then they went on to beat Leyton Orient again in League 1. Before getting knocked out narrowly 2-1 away at Watford, who are a Championship side. Paul Cook respects the competition, and he's got pedigree in it. Exeter, they are 2-1 to beat. Any takers?
Yeah, I'm all over it.
Yeah,
So,
it's even though it's at Exeter, I still think, mid-table League 1 team against a strong League 2 team. Fine.
yeah, rather than jumping too far ahead, then this was exactly the same way that I ended up going about it yesterday. So I've got a list of similar types of matchups of teams in the lower division who are doing particularly well, where you feel like they could bloody the nose of opponents in the division above or two divisions above. And Exeter massively overperforming in League One this season. They've scored 1 goal in the last 4 matches. It's all been built on an overperforming defence. Yeah, great defensive record, but it's starting to catch up with them. Got thrashed by Wrexham. And 1 point in the last 3 matches. Chesterfield, as we've been stung by a couple of times in this podcast, really struggled at home so far. Fantastic away from home. That's the reason why they're still in the race to finish in the playoffs.
They draw a lot of games, haven't they? It's based at West Brom, particularly at home. I think they've only lost once at home maybe all season. They just draw so many games in front of their own fans, which is the reason why they're not higher up in the table.
This feels like Chesterfield were to win at Exeter, none of us would be like, oh, that's a shock.
No.
And yet they're bigger than 2-1, I think, to win. Feels like a really good one for the FA Cup.
Right, I think we're all on board with this then. Yes. After taking forever to go for pick 1, I knew it. Once we've got the foundation in, we can just start building up the house or something. I don't know what the saying is, or if it's even a saying, or how to build the house.
They say you can't put roof on before you got foundation down. Just made that up.
The thing is, though, you said it with such conviction, I just believed you straight away. Thought it's one of these weird kind of quirky sayings that people go for. Right then, where was the first pick?
Oh, yeah, I've got price actually ready if you want it.
Oh, give me the price. I was going to say it, but you can have it.
We'll be taking Brentford at home to Leicester and Chesterfield away at Exeter in the FA Cup, and those two combine at just over 4-1.
Don't need to say anything else.
Before we move on, make sure you click like and subscribe, and also click on that notification bell to be notified of all of our latest videos. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
We've got 2 picks then. Somehow, having gone, no, we've got no chance, nothing's going on, we've just instantly gone for a second one. Went, yeah, we can all get on with that. As Jim Rod said there, just above 4s. Double punch, double blow. Where would you like to go next? Because
I think stick in the FA Cup happy hunting ground this weekend.
All right, go for it.
Got shitloads here.
Hang on, you didn't have any 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I ain't got any.
These breaks, for the magic of television or podcast, these breaks aren't that long. We literally just have a breather for 10 seconds and then we go again.
I'm really not about bankers this weekend, but I'm about 6 potential big prices in the FA Cup.
Which we, having not won since 1998,
Yeah.
would have been younger.
Oh, right then, Joe.
We weren't doing
So, which one are we going to go for to try to get people on board the most? Tricky one. Do I go for like the one that's going to have the biggest sex appeal?
Always.
I like Oldham to win at Leighton Orient.
Sex.
Sorry, let's break down.
Oldham.
Let's break down this sentence. You've gone. I like the sex appeal.
It's non-league to win at League One, isn't it?
Oldham.
That's pure sex appeal. This is
actually, I'm gonna switch that one out.
No!
Anybody who does like it,
No!
this one I think is more realistic.
I think I know what
Walsall.
Yes, I
beat
knew you'd say
Charlton
Walsall to
at
beat
8-5. So Walsall doing superbly well in League Two. Charlton, they started okay this season under Nathan Jones, but the data all pointed to the fact that they were overperforming and they have regressed. Walsall had a really good run in the Carabao Cup and were desperately unfortunate to be knocked out by Leicester City. So they've already got form this season for the fact that they can take on sides in a higher league. I mean, that's a League Two team against a Premier League opponent. Now they're playing against a side that's only really a handful of positions above them in the ladder. So this one, a home team, feels really good. The price is nice. That's probably the argument. That's it.
I think in terms of the FA Cup slate and home teams, I would say that probably Walsall against Charlton was one that did jump out to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't not like the pick because there's a good opportunity. I mean, Charlton won in midweek, but that's against a Burton team who were just terrible. And even that was only 1-0, whereas other teams have won more convincingly, even if the performance probably didn't quite match the actual final result. Jimmy, thoughts?
Yeah, I think you've massively... I completely ignored this on the slate, but I think you've massively understated Walsall's cup form. Because I've got it here. League Cup would beat Exeter on pens, I think. Beat Huddersfield in the league above. As you said, knocked out to Leicester on penalties. They beat Bolton already, league above. And in the Papa John's, which we're going to talk about because it suits our argument.
No, it's got a new name. It's the latest iteration, which I can't remember of it.
Papa John's are getting some very, very
I thought it was still the
favourable
Pizza
treatment
Cup.
here. Isn't it Bristol Street Motors?
No, it's changed from that. It's now something else.
Jesus.
But
I don't even think this is needed because you've already...
No, but it is.
It's diluting the
It's not diluting it. It's making it stronger.
It's the Virtue Trophy now.
virtue.
Virtue, VERTU. I think Bristol Street Motors rebranded or something, or they got bought or something. It's like their parent club now. And it's a lovely, nice teal colour.
Teal?
Teal.
That's my favourite shade.
It's like a nice... Yeah. Anyway, go on, you can
In
make
that
your point about it.
competition, they went toe-to-toe with Birmingham, and Birmingham put out a strong side.
We're going to take that competition quite seriously, don't they?
Thank you. It is
And then they
important.
built on that by beating Fulham Academy.
And Shrewsbury. All case in point, they're a brilliant cup team. I want it in. I didn't even consider this one, but I want it in.
I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I'm so annoyed. I mean, I was away anyway, so I couldn't have bet on it, but I was so annoyed that I didn't take Shrewsbury to beat Birmingham because they were 8-1 to win that game. And it just felt...
2-5.
Oh, it just
Birmingham,
felt
that's
so...
raging, yeah.
Gareth Ainsworth's
I know.
first game in
Yeah.
charge, it just felt like, oh my God, he's going to do a number on him.
Honestly,
Very frustrating.
absolutely kicking myself because
That could have just been the Acca.
yeah,
Just Shrewsbury to beat
Acca.
Birmingham at 12:30. 8-1.
Hacker, did you say?
Acca.
Hacker.
Acca.
How do you not?
That's what
Ainsworth.
QPR.
Gareth Ainsworth.
Do you remember the hacker
Okay.
video where he's got them?
Oh,
yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
Too
Did
quick.
it.
I was
I'm
trying
trying to
to
think.
think.
Like, I don't really follow rugby.
Mate. Thank you.
Settled on this one?
I think we settled on the whole Acca.
You sure?
Well, it's over 12-1 in places with Walsall in. Threefold.
Before we do,
He wrestled away this announcing the price responsibility from you. Power's gone to his head.
Yeah,
hasn't
fair play. You know.
So that wraps us up on
I will mention the other ones I did have down. I had Nottingham Forest to beat Ipswich 7-10.
Wouldn't have let it in. Not
Swansea to beat
nowhere near.
Portsmouth at 4-5.
No, because that game will get cancelled. Like
Yeah,
all the
Portsmouth are
Pompey
clearly
games.
cursed, aren't they?
Wouldn't have let that in either.
No one likes us was the Millwall chant, by the way. Well done them on Wednesday. Very creative. 9-5 Motherwell to beat Hibernian. Yeah, well done.
Hey
Awful. This will be an awful game of football, but it's a prize play. I'm not entirely sure why Hibernian are made favourites in this game because I know they drew with Aberdeen in a real thriller midweek.
They've won one game in about a year.
Yeah, their away record is appalling. They're just an awful team. I don't know how they're made favourites, so I would have had Motherwell Hibernian. Any others you just want to chuck out before we round up?
I don't think
You
there's
wanna
any need to.
Take your treble and just add any other little pick and choose and put these in.
I am all over that Oldham one, and
Same.
if you did want to make it a fourfold, we're looking at. Well, am I allowed to say the price?
Hang on. Go on, you can say it.
Or is this ridiculous? But if you wanted to put in Oldham, it's almost 70-1. Are we allowed to do that?
If you add in Motherwell as well, who are at home, like 180 to 1-ish.
All right, yeah.
So you can have, there's your unofficial Acca for the week. But should we stick with the three teams that we selected before? Because by the sounds of it, that's what we're on. That's what we like. This week's Acca then, it's another...
Why was I allowed to say my ones?
Go on. Oh, I thought you didn't have any.
It's incredibly rude.
You didn't have any.
Incredibly rude.
Fin it.
I was just quiet then.
Run through your list.
I'll be really quick.
Having very clearly declared that you had nothing.
All my ones are big prices in the FA Cup, and I think mine comes out at about 2,000 to 1.
Brackley to
build
beat
it.
Stockport.
So Oldham to win at Leyton Orient, Notts County to win at Peterborough, Chesterfield at Exeter, Walsall to beat Charlton, Cheltenham at Salford, and Morecambe to beat injury-hit Bradford 10-3. They all just look like... You won't be that shocked if those happen, but they're really big prices. But obviously, there is no chance of that Acca winning. But if you fancied, sticking a couple of quid on some potential shocks in the FA Cup for a bit of fun, I
One of
really
those
like this threefold we've got. That
Trixies or lucky 15s or whatever, what combination you want to go for there. There we are then. This week's Acca, it is a treble from the Premier League and the FA Cup as well. That top flight contest, it is Brentford to beat Leicester, and then in the FA Cup, it is two outsiders to win, but two that we think can get the job done. It is Chesterfield for an away win at Exeter, and then we're taking Walsall to beat Charlton. And as Jim Rod has touched upon, that Acca is priced at just a tad over 12-1. Remember to keep it fun, never bet the more you can afford, and please gamble responsibly. Make sure you get in touch with us on social media. You've been doing that quite a lot in the YouTube comments as well. Jim Rod thrives upon it, so please get in touch. Let us know if you're adding any picks, taking any out in the YouTube comments, or search Sporting Life Football. You'll be able to find us that way. And head over to sportinglife.com/football. Midday on Friday, you'll be able to find the link to back that at an enhanced price. We will be back, please, on the back of a winner of some form. I'll take the treble or threefold, as you called it earlier.
Thricefold.
That lovely fivefold at 180-1 would be great as well. On the back of that, we'll be back next week.